this. Okay. Here you can separate this model and you can see both the lateral walls and medial walls very clearly, which are not so clear in the other models, but here they are very clear. Okay. Now if you see here, it's a very magnified kind of thing, very much magnified. This is the anterior part of the nose. Okay. This is the roof of the nose, cribriform plate. This is the posterior slope, anterior slope, posterior slope by the sphenoid bone, anterior slope by the frontal nasal and the cartilage. Okay, you can see the vestibule area now very clearly, atrium very clearly, superior, middle and inferior turbinate very clearly, the sphenoid minor recess, superior meatus, middle and inferior meatus clearly. And if you tilt this way, you can see the hiatus semilunaris here very clearly. Okay. Another thing is you can see the sphenoidal air sinus and frontal air sinus again very clearly. Okay. Now, so this is the lateral wall, roof, floor, anterior nasal aperture. Here, this is your posterior nasal aperture. This is the nasopharynx very clearly. Now the question is, how would the medial wall look like? So in the other half, the medial wall is shown very clearly. So I will take the other half where the medial wall is shown very clearly. Okay. So now you can see the roof of the nasal cavity, anterior slope, posterior slope, floor of the nasal cavity is here. Here this is the posterior nasal aperture or coine. So you can introduce your pencil in this, it will appear at the anterior part, it will come out from here. So this is your nasal septum. Okay. If this is the nasal septum, so this is one nasal cavity and on this side will be the other nasal cavity. So on the front you can see the anterior nasal aperture, and if you go inside it will be the nasal cavity. If you remove this septum, you can see the lateral wall, as I can do it probably. So I have removed, the nasal septum was here. When I removed it, I can see the lateral wall of the nasal cavity, vestibule, atrium, meatus and the conchi. Okay. So this is how the nasal cavity is. So it is having a midline vertical septum, but the lateral wall is sloping above its narrow roof and then it slopes back. So the lateral wall is in such a way, due to that slope, the superior concha is smaller, middle is bigger than that, and the biggest is the inferior concha. Okay. So again you can see the frontal air sinus, the sphenoidal air sinus, and maxillary air sinus will be present here in the maxilla. So this is what we have. So you can take all these specimens and revise